Today, we're going to be firing up the CJ-7 for the first time in over 3 years. It's been many months' work getting this 304 ready to go, collecting parts, sending it to the machine shop, back and forth a few times, then finally building it, getting it installed in the Jeep, getting everything hooked up, ready to go. We got a few last minute checks we need to do, a few things we still need to put on, then we're going to be ready to fire this thing. Let's check it out. All right. Getting some last minute things hooked up, including our fuel source. The tank on here is so rusty and I don't know. I don't trust it just yet. So we're gonna break it in off this can. Then we gotta throw on the mufflers, check everything over one more time. We'll be ready to go. That side's on. John's finishing up this side. Threw a fresh fuel filter on there. Now I'm gonna fill up the cooling system. Gonna be using water just for the break-in. That way if anything leaks, it's not sticky coolant going anywhere. Want to massage that lower hose? Yeah. Last thing to do, and we're ready to fire it, is fill the carb with gas. So taking out the sight plug, get a little funnel on the vent tube, and we'll just pour it in until it comes out of that sight glass. There we go. There she is. We're fueled up. This is why we use water. Have a leak, but we're gonna send it. So it should light right off because the carb is full of gas. Checked all the spark plugs, got oil, water leak, it's fine. Got fuel. Oh, here we go. You ready?
Are you?
No.
Oh.
That's anticlimactic.
Good. Sorry, that was on camera.
All right, do it. Come on. That's really not good for it to dry start that long. But let me tune this carb quick. They're supposed to be plug and play, but
this thing started welding, so gonna weld you. Oh shit, you're gonna be welding the Jeep.
Alright. About to freaking grab the carb off the Suburban.
You're gonna want to use this one anyway, so you might as well adjust it when you be ready.
Yeah, but I shouldn't be fine tuning a carb with a fresh rebuild. This thing should be running. Carb swap complete.
This one matches the patina.
Yeah. All right, do it.
Ready?
Y'all. What's coming out?
Fuel. Way much fuel out the top. Yeah.
What?
Fire hazard.
It was like bubbling up like a fountain out of here.
Take 15. I'm ready. Now what? Because that sight plug is the level it's supposed to be.
Right. Hold it. Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah, right. But that could be from the very first time.
That's what I'm like.
Right.
Could very well be that.
Ready?
I guess. That's normal.
Try it again.
What do you have to say about all this?
What a pain in the
Alright, we're starting to get some temperature.
Trying to keep it right 2,000-ish?
Yeah, bounce it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Steady.
Put it back up. What are you doing? Forward. Yeah,
thermostat open.
Sounds good.
Hold a minute. I'm not what are you worried about? It was sputtering again. I thought it was getting hot. Random or burnt out. I'm gonna keep going. Trying to keep throttling it so it stays running. It's spitting up fuel. Yeah, but I'll be able to keep it running. Should be able to.
Wait, you're just keeping it running for now, okay? Adjust it after or what?
Yeah. It's so weird.
Oil pressure hold steady.
It dropped a little, but it's at a good level.
When did it drop?
When it warmed up.
Alright.
That makes sense. Five more minutes. It looks like the factory coolant temp gauge is working properly. Alright, I'll walk her down to an island. Exhaust leak, probably. The fuel pressure in idle is a little concerning. Zero. And that brings you back, doesn't it? Yeah. Sounds like the same old. I'm a little worried about that oil pressure. We'll shut her down.
Shut her down and fire it up again.
Oh, buddy. Well, she's broke in at least. We'll have to look into that oil pressure thing a little bit. Oh, doggy. Crazy. Crazy. It is the next day. I feel like we need to debrief a little bit. We found a lot of weak links in the system, but we did get it broken in. 20 minutes, 2,000 RPM. She did it, but it was doing some weird things. I got some parts already on the way, but for one, the water leak coming out of the thermostat housing. When I was putting this together, I was a little bit worried about it, but the one bolt, all the threads were not present in this aluminum intake. It only had about half the threads, but it got tight. It clicked on the torque specs, so I ran it, but it is leaking coolant out of there. So we're gonna tap new holes for that, reseal the thermostat housing. The starter solenoid didn't work. We had to hot wire it every time. We had a pretty big exhaust leak over here on the header. Now, as you heard on the first start, the Jeep didn't pop right off. And when you have a fresh rebuild, a fresh cam, whatever, when you hit that key, it would behoove you for it to start right away, but it did not. We were dry starting it for a little bit. It was definitely, not gonna lie, it scared me. You know, all this time and effort into this build, I did not want to wipe a cam lobe. It got through the break-in, but who knows? We need to pull these valve covers, check the rockers, make sure one of them's not stupid loose, and make sure all the cam lobes are doing what they're supposed to be doing. After that first dry start, the first thing I checked was timing. I was 98% sure I did it right, but I just wanted to make sure it wasn't 180 degrees out, so I verified that timing was fine, and we definitely had a fueling issue. I don't know if you could see it at all through that video, but out of this front vent tube, it was so random, it was such a weird issue, but fuel would just geyser out of this and dump itself into the carb, and it would bog it down for a second. But we were running 2,000 RPM, so it was high enough that it didn't kill the engine. I was able to keep going. Definitely a weird fuel issue. It's the stock mechanical fuel pump that was on here before. I doubt it's overpressuring, but we're gonna hook up a fuel gauge just to make sure. We're gonna run it again, heat it up, drop this break-in oil and change it, and then obviously we have some carb adjustments to do. I don't know if I added too much fuel to the bowls and flooded it, that's why it didn't start at first, or what, but I got a new needle and seat on the way and new float adjustments. We'll try and dial in this carb a little bit, and then we got to set timing. Oh, and the low oil pressure at idle. That was very concerning, to be honest, but I'm actually not that worried about it, knowing that we rebuilt the oil pump gears and we checked the clearance. It was in spec. Everything's new. When it dropped to 0 PSI, we were only tacking like 300 or 400 RPM, which is a very, you would never be idling that low. And AMCs are notoriously low oil pressure at idle. Like if you're at 10 PSI, 8, 9, 10 PSI at idle on an AMC, you're good. Enough yapping. Let's get to work. Quick, gonna drain out this water out of the radiator, and I got this big old piece of rubber pipe. Put it in a clean bucket, that way I can reuse it. That's working real good. Got most of that cooling out of there. So we'll take some stuff out of our way here so we can get to the thermostat housing. I know these hoses are pretty crusty too, so I did get some of them on the way. Man, I'm so glad we used water. That would have been a mess. Get this thermostat housing off and have a look at these threads. Now the bolts are out, you get a little bit better idea what I'm talking about. The bolt here actually has a little shaving of aluminum on it, and that's kind of what it's been doing, is pulling out threads. And I tried to get a good picture in the hole there on the passenger side here. Hardly any threads are left. The driver's side one is good. I chased it and ran the bolt down. That one's gonna be fine. But we're definitely gonna have to tap new threads into there. So I'm gonna drill a 5/16 pilot hole, and then we'll run our 3/8 tap down there. Keep her nice and straight. I think we can work with that. Getting this tap started nice and straight. That'll be good. We're ready to go. I ain't taking no chances, so I did a RTV gasket there. I also had to waller out this hole so it would fit the new 3/8 bolt here. We got about an hour to kill for that RTV to set up. So I'm gonna get the fan and belt back on. I ordered a new fan, so I put this fan back on the C10 where it came from, but since I wanna run it tonight, I'll just put the new fan on the C10, get this one back on here. Was able to source a power steering belt that we didn't have before. Filled up the power steering to the hot line. It's probably gonna drink a little. Now I'm gonna hook up this manual fuel pressure gauge just so we can keep an eye on that when we're running it. I'm just gonna put it right in line here, right before the carb. Just to be safe, I'm gonna try and get as much fuel out of these bowls as possible, because this thing was having flooding issues. See, none came out of the sight plug here, but I'll rock the Jeep around a little bit just to get some of that fuel out of there. Got the battery hooked up there, and it's been an hour, so we'll torque these thermostat bolts down to 15 foot-pounds. Now, the instructions say after you torque it down, wait 24 hours for the RTV to settle before you put in fluid and put it back in service, but that dog just ain't gonna hunt. So I compromised and gave it about 10 minutes. Should be ready for a start here. A couple things keep in mind. You keep an eye on that fuel pressure right there. We don't want much above 6 PSI, which is all the way down here. Kind of going to be hard to tell because this gauge goes all the way up to 140, but we'll keep an eye on that oil pressure. It should be fine. Cold, like I said. Battery's hooked up. I did check the oil. We're good there. Everything's tight. Turn on ignition. Got my trusty assistant here. Fired up. Pressure is good. Here comes that fuel. God damn it. Shut up. Well, sir, fuel pressure was good, but it did the thing again. I'm wondering if it's not something with this carb. It's gonna be hard to warm up this oil with it doing that. See if I can get it to fire one more time. Oh, I still got ignition. Here we go. It's just gushing out of there. I'm not even gonna bother. We need to do that needle and seat ASAP. We'll go ahead and drain the oil. First thing we're gonna do to assess lifter and cam health is make sure the oil's not all sparkly and glittery and metally. Let me catch a little sample of this. I'm gonna take a closer look at that. If it were worst case scenario, when I shine my flashlight over here, it would just look sparkly. And I don't think we're having that issue. This looks pretty okay. But still gonna pull the valve covers and make sure all them rockers are still tight. All right, both valve covers are off. Guess we'll do it together. Tight, 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 Tight. And again. Tight. Good. Yes, sir. All right. Yep. Okay. That makes me feel a lot better. We're all sealed up underneath. Here's our oil. Shine a bright light on here. You know, inherently you're gonna have some metal on a brand new rebuild. I'm talking like glitter bomb, which is definitely not the case. All that little stuff you see there is just little bubbles. I'm gonna give it a clean bill of health for now on the old CJ. Let's check that oil filter. This is about to get interesting. This is a little bit more what I was talking about with the metal flakes. I don't know if you can see that very well. But they're coppered color, little glitter in there. Now, still, being that the oil that came out of the pan was 100% clean, and even the oil that collects down here at the bottom of the heads, all that was perfectly clean. All the rockers are tight. This still isn't too much cause for concern. Honestly, there's not much to do at this point, but send it. Get it through a couple oil changes. Now, if it's still doing that after the first, second, third oil change, then we might got a little problem. This doesn't concern me too much, especially being a fresh rebuild. So we should be sealed up. And now that break-in's complete, we can go ahead and run the normal oil that we're going to be running, which is this Lucas Hot Rod and Classic, which this Jeep identifies as both. Still got the high zinc for the flat tappet. Probably spin the motor over a couple times just so I can get some eyes on these valves and see how they're doing. Disable the ignition here by unplugging the distributor there. Tell you what, you keep an eye on this side. After reviewing the footage, I feel a lot better about the whole thing. All the valves are doing what they're supposed to do. The oil looked good. Oil filter a little dirty, like we talked about, but I think we're gonna be all right. Now we're just waiting on parts. And we're back. Another day. Parts are in. Got new needle and seats and then new adjustment screws. Drained a good bit of fuel out of the front bowl and hardly any out of the back. I'm gonna just thread these guys on out of here. Now here's some of that gas on the rag. I'm just using it to kind of get this O-ring wiped down with something. And we'll install. Not sure how tight I want to make that just yet. I'm not sure how it'll run or whatever. That guy sealed back up. And we'll do the back one quick. See how that one looks. Ooh, this one is definitely messed up. It was stuck in the up position. See that? It's a little sticky. Once we get both these floats on, we're gonna run the Jeep again, see what happens. We'll probably definitely have to adjust the float levels, but see what happens. I put the sight plugs back in and I pulled the ignition wire again. That way I can just crank the motor over, let those bowls fill up with fuel, and we'll see where the level's at. Pull them sight plugs back out, see where the fuel level's out, and adjust if need be. All right, I think I got it close enough to run it. We'll see if it fires. Fuel pressure's still really good. Got the timing gun set up here, and I set up a camera for you guys, but you're not gonna be able to quite see what I'm seeing just because of the frame rate of the camera. The timing gun is hooked to the #1 cylinder, and it'll illuminate every time that spark plug fires, and I'm gonna shoot it at the balancer where there's a mark for top dead center, and it pretty much gives you a solid window of where the timing's at in relation to that timing tab that's on the timing cover. We'll fire it up, shoot the timing gun, see what we're pulling. So it looks like she's exactly 5 degrees before top dead center. Now we set it up initial timing for 12 degrees before top dead center. So I'm gonna twist on the distributor, try to add some timing into it, get it to about 12 degrees, see how she's running. I'm gonna unlock the distributor here, and I just wanna make this loose enough where I can still move the distributor, but it won't move on its own. So I'll kind of do it on the fly here. I'll fire it up, we'll shoot the timing gun. If I need to advance the timing more, I'm gonna turn this counterclockwise. We'll try to get to that 12-degree mark. All right, so that's about 5 degrees. And right there it's about 10 degrees. So later, I'm talking after the Jeep is completely broken in, we can revisit timing, talk about total timing and everything like that. But for now, just to get the Jeep on the road, get those piston rings seated, that timing is gonna be good. So I'm gonna lock down the distributor. Timing's dialed in, and on the Carb, I readjusted the float levels. They were a little bit off. Pretty much with these Hollies, you either have to raise or lower the float depending on when you pull the sight plug, if fuel is gushing out. You should just be able to rock the Jeep a little bit and see a little bit of fuel trickle out of there. That's how you know your floats are good. Have a listen. It already sounds a lot better. Since the engine's already up to temp, we can go ahead and make more fine adjustments on the carb, starting with our idle. On the Holly, to set idle right here by the linkage, there is the Carb idle screw. It sounded like it was idling high, so we're probably gonna back that off a little bit. I'm gonna be looking for an idle around 600, 700, or honestly, whatever sounds the best. So right now we're tacking about 1100. I also wanna watch that oil pressure. All right, right there is about 650. Doesn't bog down or hesitate at all. Woo! That's 10 PSI, and we're tacking about 550. One more thing to adjust, and that is right in here, and that is our fuel air mixture screws. So pretty much, I'm gonna turn these in, and then once I feel the motor bog down a little bit, I'm gonna take it out probably about a half turn. Right there, it stumbled. Do the same thing over here real quick. Right there. And we should be pretty good. I'd say the Jeep is just about ready to hit the road. I got one more thing to do, and that is header gaskets. I'm sure you could hear that exhaust leak, especially on this side. So this is what's in there now, just the stock Felpro replacement gasket. I was reading up on it a little bit, and I heard about these Remflex gaskets. Apparently they crush a lot better and kind of form, fill all the gaps, and seal a whole lot better. So I'm gonna throw these in quick. Gotta let the motor cool down first, and then gonna throw some drive shafts in this thing, and maybe a second seat bolt. We're gonna take it for a rip. Those gaskets are awesome. They laid in very nice and everything tightened down nice. I also did ARP hardware. That was a lot easier to get onto because ARP does smaller bolt heads, which is really nice. And I mean, on these Felpro replacements, you can see right where they were leaking out. I also did collector gaskets. All the exhaust is pretty well sealed off. Take a listen. Also, if you're wondering how I'm suddenly using the key to start it and not the jump wire, well, I'm an idiot because all I had to do was ground the solenoid. I don't want to talk about it. And it's a little bit easier to tell now that it has a little bit of a cam in it. Still a nice smooth idle. I like this cam a lot. New day, again. Got the drive shafts hooked up, and I also swapped the water out for coolant in the cooling system. Took off the fuel pressure gauge, kind of cleaned everything up, threw on an air cleaner, and then mounted this bigger tack, a little bit more permanent. Yeah, let's hop in, see if we got gears. What? Ooh. All right, it moves. All right, I better let it warm up for a little bit. Let's go for a run. I don't have any turn signals. I did test that. Hand signaling it is.